Siwa is apparently not a lesbian anymore.
What?
She recently starred on the reality competition show Big Brother UK, where she was confronted with 18 days of no cell service and minimal contact with the outside world. And in those 18 days, she publicly discovered that she is no longer a lesbian, although at the time of that discovery, she was in a very public relationship with a woman. So that's tricky, because she didn't just discover that she is not a lesbian, she is in fact another member of the LGBTQIA+ club. So here is that discovery happening live on Big Brother. Also, the person she's talking to here is, I believe, a drag queen who taught her about these new identities.
I've always told myself I'm a lesbian, but I think being here, I've realized, oh no, I'm not a lesbian, I'm queer.
You are.
And I think that's really cool.
You are.
I'm switching letters!
She's switching letters. She's so desperate to hang on to one of the LGBTQIA+ labels. But what does queer mean? What specifically is queer? Queer sexuality meaning. Queer is an umbrella term used to describe individuals whose sexual orientation and or gender identity falls outside of the heterosexual and cisgender norms. It can also be used to describe individuals who don't identify with specific labels within the LGBTQ. That is one of the labels, the Q.
So wouldn't that mean a lesbian is queer?
Yes. Yeah, I do believe. So that's what I don't understand. Yeah. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people may all identify with the word queer. I genuinely want to understand, and I do not. That did not help me. JoJo suddenly switching from labeling as lesbian to labeling herself as queer. But lesbian is queer by definition. One person said, they just make up terms as they go. Someone else said, confused is more accurate. I mean, I hear this story, and my biggest takeaway, frankly, from this story is that adding more letters and all of that doesn't add more clarity for people. It just seems to cause more and more confusion. Another person said, living without God leaves us constantly searching for who we are. That's a lie from the devil. We are a child of God, beautifully and wonderfully made. It breaks my heart, honestly, because she is clearly so desperate for an identity, but is looking in all of the wrong places. And the support system around her is already feeding into this new brand that she has identified with. This video was posted, I believe, while she was still in the Big Brother house, posted by her mom, Jeslyn, who was running her TikTok while she was in the house, and posted this hype video.
Oh my God, this is a lot. This is a lot.
Is it?
Nobody, no. You have female, you have male. I've met a lot of females, love them, don't feel like I'm them. Met a lot of males, love them, definitely not them. Met a lot of people in my life that are non-binary. These beautiful non-binary people are who I feel the most like, and I don't know, it's not something that I want to say about myself yet, but it's something that is confusing.
It is something that's confusing. I was, again, trying to figure out even what non-binary means, because that's one of the newest terms here, I feel like, in this kind of alphabet club of sorts, except non-binary is not even one of the LGBT, because that's a gender, not a sexuality, right? Yeah. No, but yeah. I Googled when did non-binary, and then when I got there into my Google search, become a thing just popped up, so I just Googled that whole thing. But it wasn't really used widely or even known widely until the 2010s, until social media. So this word was truly non-existent prior to, I think the 90s was the first time that it was ever even coined in any form of a definition. So it is a completely new idea in my lifetime. The concept of people not fitting into one gender or the other, or the concept of someone not fully feeling like a girl's girl, is not something new. They've just now found this name for it to just add a whole other level of confusion to what I would potentially deem someone who's more tomboyish or who doesn't like a lot of the girly things. Or like, I know JoJo talks a lot about growing up, she was bullied from other groups of girls. So that kind of, in a sense, I bet would make you feel like an outsider to girls as a whole. That doesn't mean that you're not one, because JoJo is a girl. But you insert a definition like this into the conversation, into social media, and it just starts to confuse everybody. One other person called out an interesting question here and said, why would she need to redefine her sexuality when she's in a relationship? Which is another great point. I believe the answer to that is the fact that a showmance on Big Brother began to emerge between JoJo and a man named Chris Hughes. And JoJo realized that she is attracted to that man. Dun, dun, dun. One person said she's allowed to find herself, but cheating on live TV is insane. This is the next part of the story that I'm going to show you guys. Again, was in a public relationship with an actress from Australia, I believe, and JoJo just starts hanging out with Chris in the Big Brother house. And again, they're being filmed 24/7 on Big Brother. I don't know if you're familiar with that show, but everything about your life inside of the house is filmed. Like nothing is off limits, nothing is secret except for the bathroom. Like you're literally being filmed all the time. So her girlfriend is just seeing all the time that she's just hanging around this guy and really hanging around. He just kissed her on the forehead. If my husband went on a reality TV show, even something like Big Brother, which is strategy-based, there's a lot of kind of manipulation and stuff that happens on the show, was doing that. That's not right. That's not right. That's called cheating.
JoJo, have you learned nothing?
Here's more of their showmance, again, developing. But a lot of people throughout this were like, oh, she's a lesbian, so she's not interested in him, even though it's clear that she's smitten, giddy, and interested in him. She's actually not because she's a lesbian, so this is just BFF behavior. This one had the Titanic music in the background because people are calling them like Jack and Rose. JoJo and Chris are so giving me Jack and Rose vibes. She's the rich one who has fallen in love with someone who is lower class than her, and she's probably never had this much fun in her life. This is definitely the closest love story to Titanic yet. Oh gosh, okay, here's another one. This will be the last one that I make you guys suffer through. Everyone's just shipping them. They're making all these chemistry videos like, oh, the chemistry's insane. But it does actually look like there's chemistry. There were so many moments. They would just lay in each other's bed and cuddle. Okay, so you don't have to convince me twice. JoJo is smitten with this man, and no one can tell me otherwise. One girl on X pointed out, I'm not entirely sure who Chris Hughes is, but I do find it hilarious that JoJo Siwa was made to be away from her phone and social media for a few days, and the radical feminist just melted away. It's more like the masculine energy that she puts off just melted away. Like jarringly so. A lot of people picked up on that she just started, her mannerisms were even different around him. She just completely transformed to be more feminine, which is very interesting. Another person pointed this out and said, I love seeing her femininity flourish though. So while a lot of people at first were questioning her interactions with Chris, because again, she's lesbian, so it's nothing shady going on, no cheating, no anything else.
Sure, yeah, okay.
But then the question marks around that got much bigger when she made the announcement about questioning her sexuality publicly. So she says, actually, I'm not a lesbian, I'm queer. Meanwhile, everyone is watching her fall in love with this man on live television. This confusion reminded me a lot about the first video when she announced that she was a lesbian because she liked the way that Jenna Dewan danced. She liked a Demi Lovato song that had a lot of lesbian undertones. We're cool for the summer. And went on a bad date with a guy. That was her reasoning for becoming a lesbian. And I'm just gonna play that video in case anyone forgot.
One thing about me is that when I was 12, Demi Lovato came out with the song Cool for the Summer. I really, really liked it and listened to it all the time. I did not know what it meant back then, but now that I'm much older and I understand, I know what it means.
She didn't know what it meant, okay? That song had lesbian undertones. I liked the song. I had no idea what Demi was saying. Just because you like the song doesn't make you lesbian. But according to JoJo, she said to her millions of fans that it does. That's why I wanted to call this out.
Then a few years later, Jenna Dewan went on lip sync battle. She did a really great Magic Mike number. I pretty much watch it every day. Little me, she didn't know she was gay until.
Again, I'll pause and say the Jenna Dewan. I know the Jenna Dewan dance that she's talking about when lip sync battle was huge. Jenna's hot. It's ironic because she impersonated a male. It was a male dance. That's what she was doing as like the joke. So it wasn't like this girly thing that she found attractive. It was this masculine dance. Just because Jenna Dewan is hot, which objectively, she's a beautiful woman, that doesn't mean that I'm gay for saying that. But this is the filter that a lot of people are running this through. Like JoJo, who at 18 was like, okay, I guess I'm gay then.
A couple years later, a man was my first date. And he wanted to have sex with me. And I did not want to, never wanted to, grossed out by the thought of it, immediately knew. Men are not my thing. Women are my gig. Gotta go.
At whatever age she would have been there, 16, 18, whatever, not wanting to have sex with a man also does not mean that you're gay at all. I would argue most girls, especially early on in relationships, do not have a desire to just go home and have sex with a man. And again, it's frustrating because at the time this video was huge and that thought of, oh, if I don't want to have sex with that boy I went on a date, like, does that mean that I'm gay? I mean, that's what that initiated in a lot of people's minds. But it doesn't. It doesn't, as evidence of her now. I'm not surprised at all now that she's having a positive interaction with a male who she finds attractive. She's very smitten with him. Clearly, she is now confused because she has told herself and the world for the last few years that she is a lesbian. And not just any lesbian, the gay pop icon of a generation.
It's like K-pop, right? But it's gay pop.
I mean, it became her entire identity, her entire brand, which many people picked up on. One person said, I think she's been so confused about who/what she is because she's been treated like a product/brand her entire life. Now she's finally figuring out who she is as a person, not a brand. Another person said, she's young and so famous. This is probably the first time she's been able to think, process, and gather her own real thoughts for a long time. I really feel for her. This experience was obviously needed. In just 3 weeks, surrounded by an eclectic group of people, JoJo has learned so much about herself. So imagine what being surrounded by the most based people on earth for just a few days in Las Vegas can do for you, because you can go to the Bitcoin conference happening May 27th in Las Vegas. It is the largest Bitcoin event in the world, and it's where the biggest names in money, tech, and freedom all come together. Past speakers have even included President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador, Michael Saylor, Jack Dorsey, Kathy Wood, and even President Donald Trump. And this year, it's going to be even bigger than ever. It's not about charts or meme coins, it's about building a monetary system that actually works. You'll hear from CEOs, developers, activists, and everyday people who are done playing by the old rules and are building the new future with Bitcoin. Plus, between keynotes, there are networking opportunities, side events, and epic after parties. So if you're into sound money, personal sovereignty, or just want to be around some of the smartest people on the planet who aren't brainwashed, you can go to b.tc/comments and use code comments to grab discounted tickets. They're going to have some epic blockbuster speakers at this event, and they are officially being part of the America 250 celebration. So you can go to b.tc/comments and use code comments to get discounted tickets today. Don't miss the chance to be surrounded by based people. JoJo could use being surrounded by some based people. For lack of a better phrase, she has been in her masculine energy since she was a child, carrying all the pressures and responsibilities that come with being the sole provider of a household, again, as a child. Her persona always felt like a show. So much of her personality is a brand. And she's been branded that way since she was a child. So she broke out of the child star mold by immediately going into a different brand of trading out her giant bow for rainbow gems. Moral of the story, she is confused, admittedly so, and influencing millions and millions of young girls with this whole thought process. Just like Demi Lovato or Miley Cyrus, who went through phases of breaking out of child stardom by announcing their attraction to women, only to end up in long-term relationships with men, which both of them are currently in. It's just these celebrities cosplaying as lesbian to be edgy, to break out of whatever mold, only to get right back in these straight heterosexual relationships. And then I feel like the members of those communities are like, well, now you're making us look bad.
I could imagine like those people are like, oh, they're probably like bisexual or
Yes.
queer or whatever, you know, like.
Well, okay, so that's funny because someone from these communities said JoJo Siwa cheating on her girlfriend with a man on national TV, setting back bisexuality about 20 years. The word bisexual was never even referenced here, which I thought would be if she thought she also likes a guy, maybe that means she's bi? I don't know. Another girl said something similar. It's just sad how she expressed it, and I'm glad she found herself, but at what cost? People are now going to think lesbians aren't real and use JoJo as an excuse to invalidate and harass us. No, I don't think that's what's happening, though I do understand their frustration with someone like JoJo who would come out so vocally and so unequivocally as lesbian, only to then falter a few years later when she actually starts to unpack her feelings toward the opposite sex. Now, I don't think that JoJo's indecision here makes lesbians a target for harassment or further invalidation, but I do think that it shows that perhaps young people are heavily influenced by pressures and social media around them to quickly jump on bandwagons in a quest for identity that ultimately proves to be fleeting or even more confusing. Others online, though, were still debating the validity of what they were seeing between her relationship with Chris, given the fact that Big Brother is, again, a strategy game, so it's just an act. But not everyone was buying that. One person said, people trying to gaslight me that he's just a big brother to her. But if my brothers ever treated me like that, I'd call the police and a therapist. Yeah, it's not best friend energy. It simply isn't. And sure enough, it all proved to have some level of legitimacy to it after her girlfriend posted online that JoJo broke up with her during the Big Brother rap party. Not wasting any time, which to her credit is a good thing. You know what I mean? Maybe not at the rap party, but ripping the Band-Aid when you know you no longer want to be in a relationship, can't fault her for that. Can fault her for the cheating part. And then after the show fully wrapped, Chris and JoJo even went on a news show to further discuss their relationship status. Again, wild.
There's clearly a very tight bond.
Obviously, we're close. Obviously, we're tight, but
I think it's like our friendship is like, it's just a
It's hard to explain. It's just a really strong bond between two people, which is just a strong friendship.
Yeah,
and I think,
but
I think you can have like
Yeah.
a soulmate friendship. I think that's a thing.
Yes.
And to me, it's like that energy of where it's not like the standard friendship that you have with your friends. That was beautiful. Like that is a genuinely like an amazing thing, and probably my favourite thing I got from the whole
So
show.
it's platonic right now, but JoJo, would you like it to be romantic?
Ben.
I mean, he's a gorgeous boy.
So are you, Ben?
He's a gorgeous boy, you're a gorgeous boy, you're a gorgeous girl. Look, he's a great guy. It is platonic. We have a lot of fun
She
together.
didn't say no,
Life
okay?
is life.
I do feel like she is smitten with him, and he, now that he's out of the show, is like, okay, I used her to like make it pretty far in the show. Now we don't have to be like this anymore. If I was guessing.
Life is life, and I don't know any future of anything, but I'm really grateful for our dynamic that we have and our bond that we have, and whatever life does, life will do.
I was surprised that was not just said no, like that they didn't just shut that down.
His face while she's saying that, his eyes are like popping out of his head. He looks so uncomfortable.
I gotta get out of here pronto. I got a stage 5 clinger.
So on the dating front there, I don't really know what's going on. That is still up in the air. Now, she did post this TikTok. This was her first one back from the Big Brother house. And immediately, she's back in her mask, a literal rainbow mask. I mean, it's not even figurative. It's literal. And she wants to stay in the UK. Interestingly, the UK has fallen in love with JoJo. I saw so many comments being like, JoJo, we love you here in the UK. Like, stay here, never leave. And JoJo is not used to that reception here in the States right now. So if I were her, I would just stay in the UK. Like, people loved her. One person said, it's time to take off the mask. We love the sweet, soft-spoken JoJo, because that's how she was in the house. Because I would argue that may be how she actually is when she drops her persona. Another person said, how have I gone from laughing at JoJo to absolutely loving her proves that her team were making a mockery of her. She even talked about seeing that you guys like the other side of my life is a relief. I've been scared to show that side of me. Don't be. That's, I think, the only thing that got her praise on the show was her actually acting like a human being. Now, I didn't watch the full season, but from the many clips that I have now forced myself to watch, and you all, it did seem that she dropped her facade for us just a bit. And that was the side that people seemed to like. Not on social media, hamming it up, playing into any and every brand that she and her mother designed for her. Although I don't think she sees it like that right now at all. She was right back to the literal rainbow mask the very next day after the show ended. My guess is that JoJo will first come out as non-binary in another desperate attempt to find an identity and justify her feelings potentially about a boy. Perhaps she's better off dropping the labels, stopping the act, and after all this time of playing a part, she should spend more time away from social media, finding out who she really is. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I also just wanted to tell you guys about some very exciting news happening at Daily Wire. Our podcast, Morning Wire, which is a fantastic news podcast, they just started doing videos. So you can now watch them on Daily Wire Plus, YouTube, and Spotify, or listen to them wherever you get your podcasts. As for the comment section, if you enjoy this episode, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And last but not least, if you would like more content like this, you can now follow me on my personal pages as well as our new comment section Instagram. See you guys in the comments.